Manchester United's transfer policy, obviously a hot topic on this show for the last few weeks. But you talk about all the names that were in the news. Sancho, then it was Dembele, they end up with Cavani. Those are all guys at the top of the pitch. How did this team, knowing what they need, everybody who watches this team can tell you they need help in defense. How did they not end up with a center back in this window?
Listen, it's the big question, not just of this window, but every window, that Man United don't get the players that they want and they need. Going back to when David Moyes took the job, he wanted Cesc Fabregas, he didn't get him. Louis van Gaal wanted Sergio Ramos, didn't get him. Jose Mourinho wanted Ivan Perisic, didn't get him. Solskjaer wanted Sancho, as we know. He also wanted a centre-half. He looked at Upamecano at Leipzig and Nathan Ake at Bournemouth. Well, Man City got Ake done very quickly. Upamecano had a release clause at one point. It was replaced by a new contract at Leipzig. United never really went close to getting him. I think the problem at United is that the people in the higher place at the club like box office big name signings, and they're kind of distracted by the names. The manager wants players that can just do the business. So Edinson Cavani at 33 is still a name. It's great for Man United and Ed Woodward that you've got a player that is a world famous striker, and I think Cavani will do well. But they needed a player who could be there for the long term, which would have been Sancho, and they desperately need a centre half. They've needed a centre half for a long time. They brought Harry Maguire in, and he's not in a great year, but Mourinho identified the need for a centre-half a year before that, and they didn't get it. So I think that people at Man United, the people at Ed Woodward and the scouting department should listen to what the manager says, even if they don't have that much faith in him, which it seems that they don't with the way they back him in the transfer market. If he wants a defender, let him sign a defender, because as we've seen, they've conceded 11 goals in 3 games in the Premier League, and it could have been a lot more.
And Jules, it's not for a lack of effort. This is what must be so frustrating to United fans, even for people like Pogba. You look at the money spent over the last 3 transfer windows, over 200 million euros. It's more than anybody else. And yet they have nothing to show for it, especially when we look defensively. And I know I'm kind of washing over Harry Maguire there, but I think you can put him into it when you consider his performance against Spurs.
That's right. I think they overpaid for some players. Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire, probably even Lindelof as well at the time they bought him. Maybe even Eric Bailly. Defenders we're talking about. They took a long time to sign Bruno Fernandes. We know that as well. And the list goes on. I completely agree with Oggy on the struggles that they've had on the transfer market. And it's not just the savoir-faire. It's also the ideas, their competence, the way they do their business, the way they start with a low bid, for example. It's all of that. No, it's just, the manager wanted Upamecano. He ends up with nothing. It's not even that. It's so, at least if there was, okay, we have a name and let's do everything we can to get that name. It doesn't even go that far. So I find it really hard to understand the dynamic in that club when it comes to transfer, because it looks, again, very dysfunctional.
Don, you mentioned momentum. Manchester United went 14 unbeaten at the end of last season. And if we go back, and we will look at everybody's picks, a lot of you guys, both on this show and other shows, had them in the top 4. All that momentum, has that been squandered by the way they handled this transfer window?
Absolutely, 100%. The way they've started the Premier League and the way they didn't address the problems that they should have done. You said before, Sebi, anyone that knows the game and everyone that watches football, everyone, teenagers, youngsters, everyone knows what Man United needs. So I find it staggering that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Ed Woodward and the hierarchy can't get defenders in. I mean, I don't think they're cute enough. I mean, when you look at the squad that Man United have got and some players that have been let go, Chris Smalling, he's been let go. Jesse Lingard I would command, 10, 15, 20 million pound. Darmian, Dalot, these players, who've gone and some are generating that sort of figures. If you're cute about it, you can bring in close to 50 to 75 million pound and go and get the best centre-halves in world football. I think Koulibaly was priced, at 65, 70 million pounds. You could generate that if you're cute at Man United. And now they're bringing Alex Telles, who's a very good fullback, and Cavani, who I think will be okay. I think he'll do well, and I think Mason Greenwood will prosper learning off him. But again, I think, as you said, that momentum's all just been lost over the last couple of weeks.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.